Hello, and good morning. Welcome to my live recording of my podcast, Pray, Twerk, Work, Repeat. I am here on IG Live and killing two birds with one stone, which will probably be the nature of things until I get a team and I can afford to not be a one-woman show, okay? I'm Christian Jackson, a licensed therapist here in South Carolina. I support women who are in recovery from relationship trauma, and that looks like a lot of different things. I wrote 2 books, Daddy Issues, the book and its workbook, that is, and it is chock full of stuff on how to overcome insecurities, the abandonment issues. You get to hear my story and that of women that I've treated over the years, who frankly have such strong narratives that tell them they are not good enough, that sometimes they end up self-sabotaging. They don't take care of themselves. And I say they, but I mean me. You know, to an extent, that was me for a very long time. And sometimes she creeps up. So right now I'm in the middle of a recalibration. I do want to say, as a professional and as a responsible person, that the responsible person I try to be, work is ongoing. I'm in therapy now and hoping to save up enough funds to get into a group that I really, really want to get into. Chandler, I've talked about her before. She's a special guest on here on my page. I'll be re-releasing that as a podcast episode soon. I am Chandler is the attachment goat, and she has an amazing group about how and why we show up in relationships. If I could just really sum it up, but her stuff is really good. I need to join that group, right? These are the things I'm talking about as far as being responsible and being open to the fact that our journeys are ongoing. So that brings me to this support piece, and it is inspired by conversations I've had with clients who have been with me for a long time. Or been with me for a really short amount of time and then expect that there is going to be some radical change because they have this great perspective or this idea in a box that, hey, I've been in therapy for 6 weeks and this is going to be amazing. It is ironic to me, and I have to say, I know I'm not the only professional that deals with this as far as therapy is concerned, but we have people who are super motivated, and I love that, coming in, asking for the help, looking for it, having a formula. You're super in your head and very intellectual, very smart, very cerebral, right? And so you can say words in therapy to me like, I'm processing this, or I've thought of this, and I'm thinking I'm connecting to my 10-year-old self. Like, you talk like a therapist and you are super intelligent. And that's what my caseload is made up of. Professional women with licenses and degrees and really, really important jobs, I gotta say. So you're not dumb. And yet there's still a reason why you're in therapy. I mean, there's a reason why I'm in therapy. There are some things that we are not able to see. And so I find it really ironic that, you would come to get some help, get support from your life coach or therapist, whatever. And then still there's an element of resistance because you would rather be in denial about the situation by telling me in therapy, oh, I've thought about this. Oh, I've tried that. That wasn't necessarily connecting with me or whatever it is, right? And so then I have to read you in the most loving way. As a professional, I cannot sit here and stand by and watch you sabotage yourself. That's not why you pay me. It's not why you spend time with me, for me to sit here and be like, all right, well, I'll see you next week, and not call you out on not doing your homework. Now, I got to come on here and say the following information I'm sharing are just a few reasons why I see the issue, or what issues I've seen, patterns over the years, and stuff I got to speak out about. I need to speak to the part of you who is fighting your therapist. That's why I came on here. I really want to give you this nugget, and I'm hoping that this will be a breakthrough for you, because it's not fair to who you want to be, the evolved, more healed part of you, okay? And so why do you resist support? Let's get into it. Reason number one among many, okay, but I'm only going to share 3 today. My notes, let's see, they say, you think you know it all. And I don't mean to say that in a way that is facetious or me being a jerk. In fact, none of what I say, I mean to do that. But when I say you know it all, what I mean is the person who has been through life experience and they know how their life is set up. They have lived it. You are the experts in your life. In fact, that's what I tell you all the time. You know what's going to happen if you get into this relationship, if you apply for this job, if you engage with this opportunity. You already know that you're probably going to fail. And if you know that, you have developed a system that says, this is what I need to do, A, B, and C. And if I stray from this, if I don't have my lucky rabbit's foot or whatever that symbolizes for you, if I don't follow this process to this T because this is what I know how to do, then it won't go right. I won't get the results that I want. You think you know it all. And this comes from your traumatic experience and or at the very least, the significant event that you have experienced that shaped the way you see the world. Because you have been through this big one thing, you said, from now on, I'm not going to deal with or experience this pain, this hurt, this out of control feeling ever again. And so you developed a system. And you act out of that system. You rely on that system wholeheartedly. It makes sense, right? You know it all because you've been through it. And ever since that one time or those little nuggets of time, you know how to protect yourself. It's coming out of a trauma response, right? Anytime you are doing something that is, it appears to be counterproductive, you know you're doing stuff like self-sabotaging. You know that it feels like a good thing, but you're not used to it. I'm not sure. It's all coming from a goal of just wanting to be safe. That's what it's coming from. You know it all. You figured it out. You have figured out a way to feel safe. And I need you to get that part because there's so much guilt and sometimes even shame even in how you deal with things. That control issue is not because you want to control everything. That's what I hear. That's what I've experienced. This is what I treat. You don't want to have your hands in every little thing. You want, in fact, to free up some of your headspace. But because you know it all and you know how to do it, you have said, if I drop this ball, I have to clean it up anyway. So what's the point? So when you're in therapy and you come and tell me stuff like, well, I've tried this and it didn't work. Now what, Christian? Tell me what to do. I got to ask you, check your perspective, because I'm not going to do the work for you. I give homework and assignments and things to consider. And sometimes clients will come back and they're not doing them. And that's fine, right? But ethically speaking, and because I'm just a decent doggone person, right? I'm not going to sit here and take your money if you ain't doing the work in between. Like, I just can't do that anymore, right? I just can't. Why are you resisting the support and the homework assignments that I may give you just to consider, even if it's just a journal prompt or one question where you're just asking yourself something? Even if it's just that, I wonder, what is it that you are thinking is going to happen? What is your worst fear if you don't do the thing? If you're not making the time. So we have the conversation about why, you think you know it all. I've tried to breathe in, Christian, like that don't work. Then when we come back, it's not really an effort for me to convince you to do the work. I just want to know what the barriers were. That's it. I think some of this is a self-worth issue. That's my second point. Why do you resist the help? Because maybe you don't believe you deserve to feel okay. And or you don't think it's possible. You don't know what's going to happen if you actually do the things the way that I suggest, or the way your life coach may suggest, the way, Pastor Mike Todd may suggest. I don't know, because there are different ways to get your healing and your support, right? You may not think you deserve to actually be okay and not have the other shoe dropping on you. Because the stillness and the peace of it all is strange to you. And so therefore you want to fight. So this also goes back to the other point. There is this fight or flight mode, right? Where you believe I need to fight, aka resist, in order to be okay. So fight or flight looks like, oh, well, when I'm in therapy, I'm just going to tell Christian how she's wrong. I'm just going to use myself as an example, which is fine. I give my clients space. I always ask you, once I reflect back to you, does that feel right? Does that sound right? Because I respect and know the fact that I don't know your life. You're the expert on your life. I'm just here to offer you options based on my training, right? So if I'm coming into therapy and I'm saying certain things and I say something that may trigger you, please tell me. And I think my clients know that. I have pretty good rapport with everybody, right? In fact, really good rapport. Because they'll be like, nah, that ain't it, sis. I don't know about that. And I ain't pay you to get in my business. They'll be joking. And then tell me afterwards, well, this is why I like you. I hate the way you had to come at me, but I get it, right? And it's because out of my respect and love and my investment in your journey, like I can't just sit by and let you fight. Fight or flight looks like different things. It looks like you not wanting to do the work in between, not even thinking about therapy in between your sessions. So that looks like the fight. It could be the flight as well, avoidance, right? So then maybe I'm avoiding everything in between in the first place, because if I do this thing, I actually have to do the work and I'm exposed. Then what? Then what? Does that mean that, oh my gosh, I've evolved into this person who's expected to actually do things a certain way and I can't handle that pressure? Like I'm evolving into being a pretty solid person who advocates for herself and someone who understands how to set up boundaries and not let certain people in my world. And can I handle what people will think of me because now I'm saying no? Is that why you're resisting? Fight or flight, right? That's the fight. I'm going to resist. In therapy, as an example, right? Because I don't want that responsibility. I don't want the change. Flexibility is difficult for people who are in that mindset. Like back to my first point about knowing it all. I know how this is going to work out. I am controlling. And so therefore, if I release any control, meaning I have to be flexible, it is a threat to the way I've set my world up. And so therefore, no, Christian, I ain't writing that journal prompt. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to consider that I may be stuck somewhere back in the past and my younger self is driving the boat right now. I don't want to do that. I'm going to keep making the same decisions because, therapy is the new hotness, right? I'm going to just go to therapy because people say it's cool. And I like talking to Christian. It's fine. But I don't feel like doing what you say I should probably consider because I know my life. Fight or flight looks like different things, y'all. You could very well be maybe shutting down the freeze component, right? Maybe it's that I'm so overwhelmed that I don't even do anything. So insert procrastination. Why do you resist it? Because you'd rather just put it on the back burner. I get all of that, you guys. And again, let's go back to this shame piece. Shame says I am bad. I am internalizing all the negative things that I have actually been through in my whole life. I believe all the negative things that people have told me about myself without me even giving myself my best shot. That is shame. I'm a bad person. Guilt, I did something bad, right? So you can have one without the other. You can have guilt without feeling shameful, for example. So I punched somebody in the face. And I know I did a bad thing, but I know I'm not a bad person. I just had a bad day, right? Oh my gosh. I just thought about Will Smith and Chris Rock. I just can't. That just came to my mind. But maybe perhaps Will feels guilty and not necessarily shameful. I don't know. I think his shame kind of came out in a different way on that stage, but that's not what this is about. We are talking about resisting the support that you probably have right in front of you. And my third point behind thinking you know it all, again, that's the control issue that you have because, again, you have set your world up in a way that you feel safe. It's predictable. And so, therefore, anything outside of that is a little, off-putting. The second point being that you may not believe you deserve the help. So then we got to check in with that self-worth. Why do you not believe you deserve or entitled to some kind of peace in your life? Is that why you're resisting it? And then the third point is trust. That's what I want to talk about. There's a trust issue that is at play here. And for someone who has been through a lot of heartbreak, a lot of significant events that have hurt you, of course you have a trust issue. Of course. If you are resisting support in your own way, whether you're in a fight, flight, or freeze mode, then do you actually feel secure in the person that you were going to. They have the best intentions, i.e. me. Like I may be your therapist, right? For example, and I have the best intentions for you. And I'm calling stuff out because I'm hoping to challenge you and get that exercise going, getting that muscle built, your brain, i.e. your heart, right? So that you can consider both sides of the brain, or, get out of that logical space. Let's engage some of your emotional processing. Like, I have the best intentions, and yet you don't trust me. And listen, and over the years, I understand that, and I get it, which is why I take my time. And I tell people in the beginning when we're doing therapy, we need 3 months of solid, regular appointments, which is why I set my caseload up the way I do. Anyone new coming to me, like I just actually closed my caseload for a little while to make sure I can give attention to the new people that have rolled in the last few weeks, because y'all have been popping with consultations. So I say in the first 3 months, I need to see you every week or every other week, because I am collecting data. I'm getting to know you, and you're probably thinking of things that you haven't thought of in years, or thought about it in a certain way, and like ever. And so we need that time together to be able to work some things out. I guess the average person may consider that, of course, you're building trust during all that time. But I promise you, I have been with clients who have displayed lots of resistance, even after working with them for like a year. They're just opening up to me about stuff because they just had to see. And you think about it. Even if I saw you every week for 50 minutes to an hour, that's only 52 hours out of how many hours in a year? So you know what I'm saying? You put it in perspective, it makes sense. I don't take offense to the fact that you may not trust me. I did have to learn, like, as I got older in this game and understood what it meant, that there is something to anything I'm saying, even if I'm being positive Patty, it's a threat to your world. Go back to that first point I made, right, about the control issue. If you don't have control, then it's scary to you, and I understand that. So, and also, I'm a part of the system, a system that Black people especially were not allowed to engage in. So therefore, we don't trust it, because there's so many things in the medical field, obviously, that have been played against us. And so there's that. There's a cultural aspect to it. I don't assume that because you are a Black person coming to me that you would trust me, right? I can't be so pompous and arrogant to believe that just because we're both Black. So trust is a huge factor. It makes a lot of sense as to why we would resist help. Most of the things that I say in the beginning to you are a threat to your reality. So why would you want to hear that? I'm poking a hole in the bubble you've made for yourself. Even if that bubble is dysfunctional. Even if it's dysfunctional, it still functions. I understand that. The most positive thing I can say is like, what? You mean that I actually don't have to take that abuse or don't have to take anything? There are other ways out of this? And then your wheels get to turn about this new reality. And then you're like, oh crap, even if I wanted to get out of my abusive relationship, how do I do this? It's a threat to you because now I'm challenging you to think differently. I get that. Everything's on a spectrum. So maybe it's not like a level 10 threat, but it is different. And for someone who goes through life after coming up with a system to protect herself, if you have that system in place and I come through and I tell you something different and you're like, oh crap, I don't have the tools. It makes complete sense. I say all of this because I want you, for one thing, to give yourself grace. Okay, I write about it in my books. It is an acronym where I talk about how to overcome daddy issues. You get to know your symptoms. You re-script the messages. You address your self-care needs. You connect with healthy people and you enforce healthy boundaries. GRACE. Okay, you got to extend yourself grace. If you are resisting support, help, whatever that looks like, and in whatever form, understand it. That's the other thing I want you to know, and the reason why I'm having this talk. Understand that it is important for you to know the ins and outs of why you are resisting. What is your particular brand of your trauma response? Are you fighting? Is there flight? Are you freezing? Are you fawning? Fawning is another one, which I probably need to do a whole different conversation on. Fawning is people pleasing. It's me also manipulating and controlling, and you don't want to hear that about people pleasing, right? I need to make sure that you are happy so that my world is decent enough for me to survive. That's a whole different talk. But is that your brand of trauma? responding? If you're resisting, what is that reason? Why are you doing that? Is there a level of shame? And this is where I'll wrap it up. I understand and have heard, right, from just, clients over the years, especially with groups, right? I understand that groups sound overwhelming. And I talk and sing the praises of a group experience, but I want you to hear me say that I understand the seemingly overwhelming responsibility that comes with being in a group setting to talk about your business, right? So, I'm offering a group April 30th, 2022, depending on when you watch or hear this. It's going to be called How to Move On. We're talking about how to release the baggage of relationships so you can move forward and do something different. That in itself, when I say do something different, that's a threat to you, right? It's weird for me to tell you that you don't have to do relationships the way that you've been doing, right? So how are you going to trust Christian when she say do this thing different? Christian, how are you going to protect me in this group when I come in here and tell my business? How are you not going to make sure? How are you going to at least soften some of that shame I have for making the very same decisions over and over and over again? Christian, do I have to do this in front of everybody? Why we got to make it a group, right? I understand that and more, which is why I want to touch on this piece. Whatever group you go into, you have an opportunity to have access to other people who are like-minded. They have been through similar experiences. Most of them, like yourself, are nervous like you. So the whole point, I'm kind of drawing on this idea that Dr. Brene Brown says, and she says, shame cannot live in community. Hands down guaranteed. Every group I lead. Of course, it's a little different, right? For some people who have never been to therapy at all. And it's weird. But there's always a talker. Even outside of myself, there's always someone who's going to want to share, right? And so they want to get it out. And then hands down every time when I'm in a group, there's always another person who will come in and say, you know what, me too. That is why group is so powerful, because the shame you feel, I'm a bad person, I'm so stupid for making those same mistakes and dating the same person and sleep with him over and over again, even though I knew in my gut that I should have, would have, could have, right? Even though all of that is present, you're with other people who are working together to one solution, and that is at the very least to understand yourself. That is transformational in itself, that you have an opportunity to sit down and map out what's going on. And maybe you don't want to say things out loud because you're afraid that somebody else will see you or judge you in a certain way. Everybody has that same concern. So why do you resist the support in the form of coming to group? Because you feel shameful about it. And I understand that. I'm hoping that you'll give yourself a chance to join a group, whether it's a support group in your community. Sometimes there are groups for like grief support or survivors of abuse and those kinds of things. And you're like, oh, I just don't want to go in there because it's going to be so heavy and I don't want to hear all these stories. Whatever the case is, that I'm telling you, it's almost like me giving my son that gross medicine that I know is going to help him feel better, because we just got to put it down with a little bit of sugar. At least in groups with me, I'm going to give you some sugar in the group so you can take the medicine and put it down, because I think that in the way that I treat trauma, we got to simultaneously treat that with a little bit of fun, right? There's a way and a reason why I go to trainings, and I'm trained to help support you in a setting like this and to address the heavy, heavy stuff. You're not going to be by yourself. You're going to have a guide. So if you are resisting the support because you feel like for some reason you got to know it all, take the pressure off yourself. That's the whole point of me offering this in a group setting, because I know I'm not ever the smartest person in the room. I never want to be that. And I know that being around other people with similar experiences is going to poke that much of a hole in the reality that said to you that says, I'm not good enough. I will never be good enough. I will never have what I'm supposed to have. That is not fair to you. So if you all have concerns about group, wondering why I should even join, let me know. I'm going to go ahead and post something in my stories here today. It is March 31st. It's Thursday, about 9 a.m. And now I got to go to session. But I really wanted to get this out because there is something that is holding you back from getting the help. that you really, really want, and you're watching in the background. Like, I see you watching my stories every single day. I know you're there, and yet have not yet signed up for a group or not yet commented on a live because you're just watching from the background. And I'm going to let you have that space because I respect it and I understand why you want to be delicate with yourself. So if you're ready to make that next move and not really sure how, I am leaving myself open. Please ask me whatever questions you have. I'm here to be able to do that. Not to convince you to join a group, but at the very least convince you to open that perception, that perspective that says you are not good enough and you're not allowed to have the help. That this is going to be scary forever. Don't listen to that. I can tell you ways to challenge that voice, because we need challenging statements to poke holes and affirm our new evolving self. So why are you resisting the help? I've listed 3 reasons. What are yours? Comment below. Let me know what you think. Let's have a dialogue about it. Now I got to go do the real therapy work. I got a client right this second. So I'm going to go log in. I appreciate y'all sitting with me here this morning. I saw you popping in and out. Share, like, subscribe, save. I'm recording my Pray Twerk Work podcast right now. You can go to the link in my bio on Instagram. Go binge and catch up because I'll be dropping a new episode this week. If you want to hear about a certain subject, let me know. And of course, if you want to write in and have me answer a question anonymously, I will do that. I will go ahead and make sure that you get that disclaimer that says this does not replace your relationship with a licensed therapist. In all seriousness, if you are in imminent danger, call 911, get to know your local emergency center so you can get the support you need. That is all I have for y'all today. I'm about to go to work. Peace.